The next thing we're going to look at is some hacking concepts and hacker classes. What is hacking? Hacking, in the broadest sense, is the ability to take a complex system and use it in a way for which it was not created. In fact, that's why if you go to YouTube and you type in the word HACKS, you're not going to find a bunch of ways to write a script to subvert a DLL on a system. No, you're going to find how to use a peanut butter and grapefruit to make your hair shiny, or how to take a wood wedge and bang it into a part of your car to remove something and then put in another thing. It's like using these complex systems and finding ways of doing things differently. That's why you see all these different hacks in YouTube or online. In IT systems, which are extremely complex, what we're doing is we're using these extremely complex systems, which were made simply to communicate and facilitate transactions and so on. And we're finding vulnerabilities, we're finding ways around security, or where there is no security, and taking advantage of it in order to gain unauthorized access or inappropriate access. Why? Because we've taken that complex system and used it in a way that it wasn't intended to be used. So what happens is a hacker will modify the system, modify the application in order to achieve the goals. And it can steal, redistribute intellectual property, lead to business loss. So hacking can do all of that stuff. Who is a hacker? It's somebody who's intelligent, who has excellent computer skills. And I want to tell you, excellent computer skills can be learned. And it's easier than ever to do that. They can create, explore the computer. Again, complex systems, using them in ways for which they were not expected to be used. Some hackers, hacking is a hobby. They just want to check it out. Try to compromise computers or networks. They're just playing around, having some fun. Some hackers, their intentions can be to gain knowledge or probe and do illegal things. All right. So some hack with malicious content, steal business data, credit card information, social security numbers, passwords, etc. So what we're seeing here is not all hacking is bad. All right. Some people are doing it as a hobby, and some people are doing it because they get paid to do it. Those are called consultants, or those are called red team security workers. But others do hacking for illegal purposes. So let's look at the classes of hackers, threat actors. All right, so let's make one thing clear. This is actually pretty good that we see the title the way it's presented. Not all hackers are criminals. Not all hackers are threat actors. So a hacker might be somebody like one of your system engineers, your security engineers, that has all kinds of tricks up her sleeve to do crazy stuff with computer systems. But they are not a threat to the organization or anywhere else. Rather, they're helping out. A hacker can be somebody like a pen tester who's hired by an organization to help assure that the systems are not vulnerable to attack. However, if the hacker is a black hat hacker, they have extraordinary computer skills and they're doing it for destruction, right? They are crackers. They crack into systems. The biggest difference between a black hat hacker and a white hat hacker, who is just somebody who works for an organization or has their own company that does it to try to defend computer systems, the biggest difference between a black hat and a white hat hacker is one word. And that word is permission. Permission. So let's look at a hack. All right, so there's a hacker. The hacker scans a website for an organization. The website has vulnerabilities. One of the vulnerabilities allows the hacker to get to the inside of the network and find an application that is running on an N-tier surface presentation. And so they go to the presentation level and they use a special hack using a stored procedure on the database called XP_CMD shell. Running that stored procedure, they're able to get the database to allow them access to the underlying operating system. And using the underlying operating system, since the database is running as root, they're able to take a user account that they discovered and turn it into a root account. After getting the root account, they're able to go from the Linux network into the Microsoft network and find other applications and other data and begin to exfiltrate data under the guise of DNS transactions to a command and control server where they are able to accumulate 200 gigabytes of data from the organization and compromise 14 different machines. Is that bad? I guess you could say. And if the attacker, if the hacker has been paid to test the security of the organization, they're a pen tester. They're a white hat hacker. What they're going to do now is they're going to write a report and they're going to show you all the different ways that the organization is vulnerable, and they're going to get paid a bunch of money for showing you how to lock it down. The other, because they have permission. The black hat hacker does not have permission, and they're doing it as a criminal enterprise, and they should be arrested and locked away in jail, digging away at the salt mines on Regulus 4. So gray hat hackers are people who work both offensively and defensively at various times. A gray hat hacker is sometimes referred to as a person who might do black hat now and then and white hat now and then. If you're doing any black hat, you're a criminal. So don't want to ever do that. Suicide hackers are black hat hackers that don't care about getting caught. Script kiddies are hackers that have low skills. So let's say that there's somebody who really is kind of new to the whole computing world. They watch a few YouTube videos, download Kali Linux, and they launch a high orbit ion cannon distributed denial of service attack against a company. And they just really started learning this last week. They're a script kiddie, right? Just running script stuff that's already been put together by real hackers. So we have different, and by the way, there are many more classes of hackers and threat actors. And really, everybody on this list, except for white hat hackers, are threat actors. We also continue this list with a few others. Cyber terrorists, right? They have political or religious beliefs and they're trying to terrorize whatever network or host or organization. We have state-sponsored hackers. Right now, probably the first level of military in most nations is cybersecurity, cyber attack, cyber threat. And so every major government in the world has state-sponsored hackers. We have hacktivists. They are promoting a political agenda, maybe disabling or defacing a website. We have hacker teams, consortiums of organized crime-based attackers that work together with such great organization that they are organized almost like a major corporation. And these hacker teams are taking on bigger and bigger projects. We also have industrial spies, and these are corporations that are spying on and hacking other corporations. Another type of attacker would be an insider. This is somebody who already has logon, they already have privilege, they already have an account, and they're trusted, but yet they are attacking the organization. Another one would be, like I was describing before, a criminal syndicate, organized criminal activity, organized hackers, hardened criminals that use even rented devices like AWS or Azure or botnets or others to organize attacks, get money, steal data, etc. All right, now let's have a look at the next area, which is understanding different phases of the hacking cycle. So how is it that these attackers, whether they are security consultants or criminals, what do they do? Well, there are some phases of hacking, and we're going to look at the phases of ethical hacking. The first phase is reconnaissance. In this case, what's going to happen is the attacker, whether it be a hacker who is being paid to do it by the company, or an attacker who is trying to extort money on a criminal basis, they're going to scan. They're going to go gather information passively by searching public records, looking at news releases, looking at LinkedIn, looking at employee information, websites, maybe even visiting the organization and getting their trash, looking through that for paperwork or whatever. Active is when they directly interact with the target by any means. So if you make a phone call and ask about the organization or getting an account or call employees or use technical methodologies to scan ports and equipment of the organization to find out information about it, you're doing an active attack. You're interacting with the organization. The next phase after reconnaissance is scanning. So in this case, we are going to take a piece of equipment that scans, looking at ports, pinging IP addresses, sweeping through the system, looking at vulnerabilities and vulnerability scanners. In this case, what we're trying to do on the external and on the internal network is find live hosts, live machines, open ports, details of operating systems and devices. We're looking at the patch level of each of these, the version of the application, the uptime status, etc. So we are scanning, we're sending in probes, getting back information, finding more information about that. So after the scanning phase, the next one, if we get enough information after scanning, we want to gain access. So this is where the attacker gets access to an operating system on the network. And from there, they're going to be able to look at the network, get to different levels, try to escalate their privilege. If they have a low-level user account or a guest account, they'll want to get an account that can do more. Either they want to add privileges to their current account, or they want to take their account and get a new account, like an administrator or a root account. So they might do password cracking, use attacks on applications, like buffer overflow attacks, that can help them get into other locations to gain privilege, do denial of service, or even session hijacking to get extra privilege from a session that's has higher privilege with a host than their current capabilities. So they'll do those types of things in gaining access. Okay, so once the attacker has gained access, the next thing you're going to want to do is maintain access. They want to own the system. And there is a term that hackers use called PWN, pwnage. They want, and by the way, you can look up the history of that. It's actually very interesting where that came up and why it's not OWN, but PWN, to own the system. And so what they're going to do is they want to have a backdoor set up. By the time an attacker has a backdoor or a rootkit, you can't even tell it's installed. It's hidden out in the background. And so once they have this, they can maintain access. They can get access remotely anytime they want to any system where they have a backdoor or a rootkit. And they might even use a Trojan to help accomplish that. And so they can download data, manipulate data. They've owned the system. And then they can use that system to launch further attacks. And once they are maintaining access, another item, another phase is where this attacker is going to clear their tracks. They're going to hide everything they're doing. They're going to stuff files in places that can't be seen. They're going to delete logs. They're going to try to remain unnoticed, uncaught. They're going to try to avoid suspicion. And so they're going to hide their identity. They're going to hide what they're doing. They may even delete 5 megabytes of logs and put in 5 megabytes of fake logs just to cover what they're doing. So clearing the tracks is the last phase of hacking.